So in this video, let us see the importance of content. So it's what I am the most passionate about my work, figuring out how our message or content can make the biggest impact on others. Some of the great experts in rhetoric have changed the world, both good and bad, from Aristotle to Hitler to Gandhi, with their messaging. Every interaction we have in every facet of our lives comes down to getting a message across. Messaging is a huge part of our YouTube strategy. It helps us to get people to do what we want them to do and meet our success goals. So let us see the ads with impact. Ads also plays an important role and it impacts in a huge way in our daily life. So what is content exactly? The phrase content is king has been used before, but it is the best way to emphasize how true the statement is. As you can see from my examples earlier, content can change people's lives. Its message inspires, educates, shocks, and challenge people. It changes people to the core. When we talk about content on YouTube, one of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that content equals video. Video is definitely a part of it, but content also include the title, thumbnail, and other metadata. Your video should be done well, sure, but you must give equal, if not more, attention to your video title and thumbnail because they are the make or break factors when a viewer is deciding whether they will click and watch. After you get them to click, you get to do the fun part. Make the video, scratch that, make a good video. You have to know what makes a good video in order to make a good video. It's simple circular logic, but it works. Like when many people have used these examples. So pattern of narration, storytelling. All good content has good storytelling elements. People remember a good story even if they heard it decades ago. Narration is good storytelling and in good content follows the same pattern across the board. Whether you are making videos about food or travel or education or pranks, and it works for kids, millennials, and boomers alike. It's called a story arc, and the best way for me to break it down for you is to refer to an episode of TV's most successful series, CM Field. Episode was titled The Cave and aired in 1991. So, the hook is also playing an important role. Let us see. Comedian Jerry Seinfeld, a master storyteller, even though his show is commonly referred to as the show about nothing. Most episodes for 9 seasons began with Jerry performing a monologue stand up routine on stage, telling jokes that foreshadowed the upcoming story in the episode. Its purpose was to hook the viewer right out of the gate and introduce the episode's topic. In the cave monologue, Jerry says that there's one shop in every neighborhood or town that is always changing hands. It's leather store, then it's a yoga shop, then it's a pet shop. He jokes that it's like the Bermuda Triangle. Nobody can have a successful business there. This monologue is the hook element number one in our story arc. The hook creates enough curiosity for the viewer to want to know what the episode or video is going to be about. So, re engagement. Let us see what is re engagement. Next, Jerry moves on to the re engagement element. The episodes has begun, and Jerry says, "George, I have not seen one person go into the restaurant since it opened." Poor guy. He and George have some back and forth. George complains about nice guys getting a bad rap, while Jerry theorizes that the restaurant owner probably has family waiting for him to send money. George waves in two new story lines for the episode during this scene. The good guy predo- predicament and the girlfriend wanting him to wear cologne and take an IQ test. They have done a great job of foreshadowing and setting up these topics for further discussion and laughs in the episode. Jerry is great in re-engineering, re-engaging his audience so he does not lose viewers. In this episode, it shows him in his apartment watching the shop go to the restaurant because he feels bad for Babu, the owner. He exhibits a good guy persona throughout the episode. So the setup, we need to look at the setup also. The third element of the story arc is called a setup. It's the part of the video where you set up the coming climax, and it's another point of re-engagement with the viewer. In Jerry's setup, he finally goes into the restaurant to support Bob. He thinks he is a nice guy by being a patron, and he even offers the owner some unsolicited advice to turn his multicultural, eclectic, eclectic cousin restaurant into exclusively. Jerry gets excited about what's coming because he thinks his good guy idea is going to be the reason for imminent success. This is a great setup. Be careful not to go straight for the climax at the point at this point because you have to keep teasing the viewer. This is where Jerry re-engages the build-up by going back to his binoculars and patting himself on the back for helping Bob. As a viewer, we see that Babu has closed for renovation and we want to see if Jerry's advice plan pans out in the upcoming climax. Let us see the climax. Now Jerry is ready to show us the climax of the story act because he is built us up to on several occasions. He goes back into the store after reopens a business for business. Babu is clearly upset and Jerry is because he took his advice, spending time and money on renovation, and it didn't work. The place is empty. There is good guy, arrogance, anger, and the climax ends with Bob storming out of the room, yelling at Jerry, "You are a bad man. You are a very, very bad man." Jerry sits aghast that his good guy vibe has been crushed. The restaurant closes for business. Next thing is the Goose. The story has concluded, but don't think it's over. Just at if you want to retain those viewers, really great content has a bonus element called the Goose. I learned the Goose from my one of my friend. So the Marvel Cinematic Universe films are known for their Goose. When any Marvel movie ends and the credit comes up, nobody leaves the theater. Why not? Because everyone knows there will be a bonus scene after the credits are done rolling. The Marvel bonus scene settles a plot line from the movie, first comic relief, or hints at a future Marvel film. Whatever its purpose, though moviegoers love it and they leave the theater with Goose moment in mind, which they will probably tell their friends about. If you want to make a really great video, you got Goose. So let us see the wrap up. There is one last thing to tie up the story arc before the video ends. The wrap up and Seinfeld almost. So if you have seen one episode, you have basically seen them all. They are put together in this predictable pattern of narration because it works. So let us see. Wrap up is like that. Let us see about making your content pop. My hope with this that you will never look at YouTube the same. As you watch videos, you will train yourself to analyze every element looking for patterns of narration. You will learn how important storytelling is and how to emotionally connect with your audience. But I also want you to recognize all the tight little details in a video. The little details help you create content that really pops. Details like camera angles and movement, time lapses and zooms, pattern interrupts, music reactions, and editing techniques. Let me share with you an example of a creator who really knows how to make content pop. So, this is what making your content pop. Next thing is authenticity and emotional connection. There is an important point to make here. This video seems to work because of sensationalism. A YouTuber buys cars and documents his silly antics to give them all away. But something happens outside of the sensation and the silliness. We see the happiness and gratitude of the people who receives the free cars, and we see a YouTuber feeling really good about helping people. It's a genuine and it turns out is a genuinely good guy. When your viewers emotionally connect, you have told a good story. So it works actually. Authenticity and emotional connection. That means giving a car a giveaway to your audience. Exactly, it connects emotionally to you, and it binds them to your channel and wait for your content in future. So that's a good idea. Giving away always work. Content for sales. Some of you might be thinking, but I am not using YouTube to grow an audience. I am using YouTube to sell. Whether you are making a video to build an audience or making an ad to sell a product, the formula is the same. Although when you want your views to buy something, you make content with a problem solution formula in mind. You must explain a problem your viewers can relate to, and when you offer a solution, you back it with credibility. The original direct marketing master was the infomercial guy. So, In the early 1950s, Ron filmed the first ever prime time in infomercial for his food chopper called the Chopo Medic. He began with a visual hook demonstrating the ease and speed of the greatest kitchen appliance ever made. He proceeds by telling the folks that the Chopo Medic will make their cake baking, candy making, ice cream topping exponentially easier. These specific food making tasks were not randomly pulled out of a hat. Ron had asked crowds at product demonstrations which kitchen tasks were most problematic, and the majority of answers came down to chopping nuts for these three reasons. So he addressed the biggest problem first. He continues to use the problem solution strategy as the video goes on, showing a remarkable speed and ease in chopping anything from celery to ice. He claims that the chopper's crowning feature is that it chops onions so quickly that it saves your hands and your eyes. No more tears. Ron appealed to both women and men at different points in the ad, hitting his number one customer first and his backup demographic second. So it works actually. And let us see the how it works across the board. You might be wondering it all of these content elements really can be adapted to any scenario. After all, a single episode runs for 20 some minutes, and another video was almost 17 minutes. Mr. Beast's video was almost 17 minutes. How could you put all of these elements into shorter, more focused presentation? Let's return to the Wendys commercial, which is a mere 30 seconds long, but still has all of the elements of good content. What are those elements? Let us see. Hook. Three cute little old ladies are at a fast food counter. There is a large hamburger on the counter. Behind them, dull restaurant tables look very much like dull office cubicles. The contrast is so striking that it immediately pulls you in. So, next thing is, what is the next element? Re-engagement. The women look at the hamburger on the counter and start commenting about how big and fluffy the bun is. This is a re-engagement element. Next, let us see the setup element. 10 seconds into the commercial, one lady takes the top bun off, revealing a teeny burger patty inside. Another lady says, "Where's the BF?" This is the setup actually, setup element. Let us see the climax element. 15 seconds into the commercial, the picture changes to show a close up shot of a thick hamburger, and a voiceover tells you that Wendys modestly calls the burger a single, and it has more beef than Burger King's Whopper or McDonald's Big Mac. This is the climax element. Next, let us see the Goose element. At the 25-second mark, one woman holds up the giant bun to her ear, listening to it as if it is an empty shell, and she is trying to hear an ocean that is not there. At the same time, another lady says about the apparently missing restaurant staff, "I don't think there's anybody back there." That's a powerful combination of good comedy while reinforcing that most hamburger places don't care if you want a better burger. That's a Goose element. Let us see the wrap up element. In the closing seconds, the announcer says, You want something better. You are Wendy's kind of people. The company wants to help you and the cute little old ladies, all while making you chuckle. Doesn't that mean make you feel good? So here, simple storytelling that can be explained in one sentence. Wendy's gives you more. That's it. So here, all elements are hook, re-engagement, setup, climax, goose, and wrap up. Everything was there. So make a lasting impact. There's a pattern behind making great content, whether it's a 30-second commercial from the 1980s to in 17 video car lot giveaway, or an episode from a show about nothing. The greatest content creators are master storytellers who know how to make a lasting impact on an audience. They do this by following patterns and implementing tactics to hook, re engage, play on emotions, deliver on promises, have unexpected surprises and payoffs, and offer bonus content before they leave you. If they are really great, they will leave you wanting more and wanting to share. These core principles are universally applicable, regardless of length, target audience, and purpose. So, in this, you can do one task, one action exercise with two tasks. Task number one, go back to the list you made in earlier action exercise. Analyze the videos using to see if they use story arc, identify the hook, re-engagement, setup, climax, and goose. Task number two, create your next video using the story arc. That's it. You will be a good storyteller if you use all this, story arc. So that's all for this video, and we'll meet up in the next video. Thank you.